I still remember the sound the knife made against the plate. That soft scrape of steel against porcelain, too gentle for what was coming. It was a Thursday evening like any other. Warm air drifted in through the kitchen window, carrying the smell of grilled tilapia from the neighbor's compound. I sat across from my husband, Kofi, watching him chew his food in that slow, deliberate way he always did when he wanted to avoid conversation. He didn't even look up. Not once. Then mid-bite, he said the sentence that would have shattered any other woman. I've decided to sell the house. I'm moving in with someone else. Just like that. No emotion. No hesitation. No explanation. He spoke like he was saying, pass the salt. I blinked once. My hand stayed steady. My heartbeat didn't even jump. I just set down my fork, reached into my purse beside me, and slid a plain brown envelope across the table. He frowned. What's this? I smiled, small, calm, deliberate. You'll want to read it before you sign anything. He tore it open, still chewing his food. I watched the muscles in his jaw slow, then stop completely. His brow furrowed as he scanned the first page. Then the second divorce filings. Bank statements, screenshots, and the land title that now carried only my name, not ours. Kofi's chewing stopped. He swallowed hard. The color drained from his face. Amma! What is this? It's the truth, I said softly. The truth you thought you could hide. He looked up finally, eyes wide. You can't do this. But I already did. He pushed back his chair so hard it screeched against the tiles. His glass of palm wine toppled over, staining the white tablecloth deep red. I didn't flinch. Because I had been waiting for this moment, not for revenge, but for closure. 6 months earlier, everything looked perfect. People always said we were the model couple. The couple who dressed in matching outfits on Sundays. Who smiled through church announcements. Who hosted dinner parties with jollof so good that even the pastor asked for the recipe. Everyone said we were lucky. They didn't know luck has a sound. It's the silence that creeps in when someone you love starts disappearing while still sitting right next to you. At first, it was little things. Kofi stopped calling me love, then Amma, then he just said, you. You cooked? You ironed my shirt? You saw my keys? It didn't hurt at first. I thought it was just work stress. The man was a civil engineer. Deadlines, site visits, meetings. Then he started smelling like someone else. Not perfume, something sweeter, softer, like mango lotion and cocoa butter. He came home late, shirt pressed too neatly for a man who had been on site all day. When I asked, he'd laugh. You women overthink everything. You want to start drama for nothing, and then the phone habits changed. He used to leave his phone anywhere. Now it was glued to him, bathroom, shower, everywhere. Notifications turned off. Screen always tilted away. One night, curiosity got the best of me. I waited till he slept, phone still in his hand. The screen glowed faintly. I tilted it, heart pounding. A name popped up. Nah. The message read, same time tomorrow? I can't wait. I stared at it until my vision blurred. Then I put the phone back exactly how I found it. The next morning, he kissed my forehead like nothing had changed. That's when I knew. The man I married was gone, and the stranger who stood in his place was lying to my face. But I didn't confront him, not yet. I decided to learn his game. Quietly. 2 weeks later, I found the receipt. Tucked into his coat pocket, a dinner for two at Labadi Sunset Lounge. Truzonchedes? Date. A Thursday he claimed he had a late client meeting. I turned the receipt over in my hand. The waiter's handwriting was neat. Table 6, 2 glasses of wine. I stared at the timestamp, 10:14 p.m. He had come home at 11 that night, smiling, saying he stopped at the office to send one last email. I didn't say a word. I placed the receipt back where I found it. Weeks passed, and the lies grew louder in their silence. He started comparing me to other women, subtle at first. You know, Amma, some women still look young even after 2 kids. If you joined that gym near Osu, maybe it would help your stress. It was never what he said. It was how he said it. Cold, dismissive, like he had already replaced me in his mind. I started sleeping light, half awake, listening. One night, I heard him whispering on the phone. The tone was different, soft, boyish. A tone he hadn't used with me in years. No, she's asleep. Yes, I'll see you Sunday. I miss you too. Then silence. I lay still, heart thudding, eyes burning into the dark. That's the night I decided I'd never cry over Kofi again. The truth came from someone I least expected. My colleague, Afia, asked to meet me for coffee one Saturday morning. Her face was tight, her tone serious. She hesitated before speaking. Amma, I don't know how to say this, but I've seen Kofi. With someone. I didn't react. I just stared at the foam on my cappuccino. You're sure? Twice. Once at the Golden Tulip Hotel, once at the marina. He wasn't careful. Who was it? I asked quietly. She swallowed. It's Nah, your friend Nah Mensima. For a second, the world went quiet. Nah, the same woman who had cried on my shoulder about her breakup last year. The same woman who'd helped decorate our daughter's birthday cake. It felt like swallowing glass. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just nodded slowly. Thank you, Afia. You did the right thing. When I got home, Kofi was in the living room watching football. I stood behind him for a long moment, staring at the back of his head. He turned slightly, sensing me. Everything okay? Perfect, I said, smiling faintly. That night, while he snored beside me, I opened my laptop and started researching divorce law in Ghana. Over the next month, I lived 2 lives. In the daylight, I was the wife he thought was still naive. At night, I became the strategist he never saw coming. I booked a private consultation with a lawyer, Mrs. Teta, a calm, soft-spoken woman who looked like she'd seen every kind of betrayal imaginable. She listened without judgment as I laid out the situation. You said you refinanced your home last year? She asked. Yes. He didn't read the papers. I handled it all. She smiled faintly. Then you've already done half my work. She explained that the refinancing gave me primary ownership rights, and with a few filings, I could quietly move the full title into my name. We drew up a plan. I'd gather evidence. I'd collect statements. I'd set up new accounts, mine alone. And I did. I opened a secret account at EcoBank. Moved my salary. Closed joint cards one by one, each under the excuse of fraud alerts. He didn't notice a thing. Men like Kofi never do. They're too sure of their own cleverness. Before we continue, if you've been hooked by this story so far, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with someone who believes in karma, because trust me, what's coming next will leave you speechless. The night I drafted the documents, rain drummed softly on the windows. Our daughter was asleep. The house was quiet. On the table before me lay everything. Divorce petition, property deed transfer, screenshots of messages between him and Na, bank transfer proofs, a printed transcript of his voice call where he said, "Once we sell the house, we'll move to East Legon. She'll never see it coming." He was right about one thing. I never saw it coming. But he'd never see what I was building either. When I sealed the envelope, I whispered to myself, for every night I kept silent. This is my voice. Then I hid it under a stack of old school reports in the drawer by the front door. For weeks I waited, calm, patient. And when he finally said, "Amma, I've decided to sell the house," I knew the play was over. He didn't realize I had already rewritten the ending, back to that Thursday night. Kofi stared at the documents, mouth open. His voice broke slightly. You changed the deed?" 3 months ago, I said. "You signed the papers yourself. You just didn't read them." He sank back into his chair, eyes darting across the table like he was searching for a way out. "You can't just— I didn't just anything, Kofi. I learned. I prepared. I finished what you started." He stood abruptly, knocking his chair down. "You planned this." "Yes," I said evenly. "Just like you planned to leave me broke and humiliated." He pointed a trembling finger at me. "You'll regret this," I smiled faintly. "No. You will." He stormed out of the dining room, clutching the envelope like it was burning his skin. I sat back, finished my wine, and listened to the front door slam. It wasn't anger I felt. It was peace. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't the one being deceived. The next morning, the house felt too quiet. The kind of silence that hums through the air after a storm, when everything is still pretending to be normal. I heard the front gate slam around 7 a.m. Kofi had come back. His footsteps were heavy, hesitant. He stood at the door for a long time before entering. I didn't look up. I was at the kitchen table drinking tea, scrolling through my phone like he wasn't there. He cleared his throat. "Amma, we need to talk." I thought we already did. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "You don't have to do this. We can fix things." "Fix what?" I asked, my tone flat. "The lies or the woman?" He hesitated. "It's not what you think." I set the cup down, finally looking at him. His eyes were red. Not from guilt, no. From panic. The kind of panic a man feels when the world he thought he controlled starts to crumble beneath him. "Don't insult my intelligence," I said quietly. "You've been sleeping with Na for almost a year. You told her you'd sell our house and move her in. I have the recordings." He froze. "You recorded me?" "You were too busy lying to notice." He sank into a chair. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Amma, please, don't destroy everything." "Destroy everything?" I laughed softly. Kofi, you already did. He looked around the living room, at the curtains I chose, the framed wedding photo on the wall, the family pictures from our daughter's first birthday. This is our home. No, I said. It's my home now, and you're a guest, a temporary one. That was the first time I saw tears gather in his eyes, but I didn't feel pity. I felt something sharper, colder, more honest. I felt free. He left again, slamming the door so hard the picture frames rattled. I knew exactly where he was going, to Nah. I could almost imagine the conversation. Her fake sympathy, her promises, her fear when she realized he had nothing left to offer her but chaos. By evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A woman's voice came through, tight with nerves. Amma, it's Nah. I didn't say anything. Please, she continued. I know you're angry. But Kofi told me everything. He says you took the house. You don't have to ruin him. Ruin him? I said slowly. He did that all by himself. She exhaled sharply. You can't keep everything, Amma. You're being cruel. Cruel? I repeated, my voice steady. You slept with my husband, planned a new life on the ashes of mine, and you're calling me cruel? There was silence. I could hear her breathing. Then she tried a different tone, soft, pleading. You don't understand. He loves me. I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Then you can keep his love. I've had enough of it. And I hung up. That night, I slept deeply for the first time in months. Over the next few days, word spread faster than I expected. Accra is small. People talk. Kofi's colleagues started looking at him differently. Clients withdrew deals quietly. He tried to pretend everything was fine, but shame has a smell. It clings to a man who once thought he was untouchable. Then one afternoon, my lawyer called. Mrs. Tedda here. Your husband's lawyer reached out. I didn't even blink. And? He's contesting the property transfer. But you're safe. He signed everything himself. It's airtight. Good, I said. Let him fight. The court will see the truth. The next week was chaos for him. The affair became public when Na's ex posted screenshots online. People whispered, her job at the bank suspended her for reputation concerns. Meanwhile, I went to work each morning in peace. My colleagues greeted me with quiet admiration. Some women even pulled me aside and whispered, you did well. You showed him. But I didn't do it to show anyone anything. I did it to survive. One evening, Kofi came by again. He looked smaller somehow. His suit was wrinkled, his face tired. He stood at the gate like a man visiting a stranger's house. I just want to see our daughter, he said. She's with my mother this week, I replied. He nodded slowly. Can we talk, Amma? Just 5 minutes. I hesitated, then opened the gate. He walked in like he was afraid the ground might reject him. We sat opposite each other in the living room. He looked around like he didn't belong anymore. Amma, I made mistakes, he began. I lost my job, my home. Na left me. She said she can't handle the drama. I said nothing. He swallowed. I'm sorry. Are you sorry because you lost her or because you lost everything? He lowered his eyes. Both, I guess. I stared at him for a long time. There was no hatred left, only clarity. You know, Kofi, love doesn't disappear overnight. It dies in small pieces. Every lie, every insult, every late-night call, it chips away until there's nothing left. He rubbed his face, whispering, I never thought you'd do this to me. I smiled faintly. That's your problem. You never thought I could. He stood, shoulders sagging. I wanted more. I thought I was missing something. And now? He met my eyes. Now I know I had everything, and I threw it away. I watched him walk out. No tears this time, just quiet acceptance. Days passed. I focused on my work, my daughter, my peace. The gossip eventually faded, but the lesson didn't. Kofi tried calling a few times. I didn't block him, I just never answered. Silence became my boundary. Then, about a month later, I received a letter. His handwriting. Messy, rushed, Amma. You were right about everything. I let pride destroy us. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say this before I leave Accra. I'm moving to Kumasi to start over. Please tell our daughter I love her. Kofi. I folded the letter carefully and put it in a drawer. It didn't hurt to read it. It didn't heal either. It just confirmed what I already knew. Karma always arrives, quietly and right on time. A week later, I hosted a small dinner with friends. We laughed, drank wine, talked about life and work. Someone asked, Amma, if you could go back, would you change anything? I thought for a moment, then shook my head. No. Sometimes losing someone is how you find yourself. That night, I stood by the window watching the city lights flicker in the distance. The air smelled of rain again. The same as the night I sealed that envelope. And for the first time in years, I whispered a prayer. Not for him, but for me. A prayer of gratitude for the strength to walk away quietly, for the courage to stay silent when the truth spoke louder than revenge ever could. Because in the end, I didn't need to destroy him. Life did that on its own. All I had to do was let go. If you have come this far, then please subscribe our channel. Your support means a world to us now. To our story. 6 months had passed. The world had moved on. Or at least it looked that way from the outside. I had built something new, something steady. My mornings began with sunlight spilling across my balcony in East Legon, a fresh cup of Ethiopian roast in my hand, soft high-life music playing from the kitchen. My daughter Abina laughed more now. Her laughter didn't sound uncertain anymore. It rang free, bright, like she finally felt the peace I'd been trying to build for us. Kofi had become a name I heard less and less. Sometimes a mutual friend would mention he'd moved to Kumasi, started some small business. Other times, I'd catch a glimpse of him online, thinner, quieter, eyes sunken, standing beside a beat-up Toyota instead of the black Range Rover he once polished every Sunday. I never smiled at his downfall, but I didn't feel sorry either. Some lessons have to be learned through pain. One humid Saturday afternoon, as I was returning from the market, I saw a familiar figure leaning against my gate. The sight made my steps slow before I even realized why. Kofi, but not the Kofi I once knew. The confident stride was gone. His shirt was untucked, shoes scuffed, his face lined with exhaustion. He was holding something, a small brown envelope. Amma, he said quietly, almost like a question. What are you doing here? He looked down. I needed to see you. Just one last time. I stood still, clutching my bag of groceries. You shouldn't be here. I know, he said, voice trembling slightly. But please, just 5 minutes. I exhaled and unlocked the gate, more from curiosity than compassion. He followed me inside, hesitating at every step like the ground remembered how it once rejected him. The house smelled of jollof and lemongrass. Abina's drawings were taped to the walls, bright, messy, full of color. My world. He stood in the middle of the living room, eyes darting around. You've changed everything, he murmured. Of course, I said. It's mine now. He nodded slowly, then handed me the brown envelope. This is for you. I didn't take it immediately. What's in it? Something I should have given you a long time ago. When I finally opened it, I froze. Inside were several documents, land title deeds, the ones he used to brag about when we were still married. Except now, the ownership had been transferred. To me. What is this, Kofi? He swallowed. The plot in Cape Coast. The shop in Kumasi. I signed them over. They're yours now. Why? I asked flatly. Because I need to make peace, he said, his voice cracking. Not with you, maybe not even with God, just with myself. You were always the better one, Amma. I didn't see it. I was too proud. Too stupid. I studied him for a long moment. The man standing in front of me wasn't the arrogant, self-assured husband who once mocked my silence. He was broken in a way that felt almost tragic. You didn't come here just to give me this, I said quietly. He shook his head. No, I came to say goodbye. I'm leaving Ghana. My cousin in London found me a small job. I'll be gone next week. My throat tightened, not with longing, but with something gentler. Closure, maybe. Does Abina know? He smiled faintly. I'll tell her. I just wanted to tell you first. You don't owe me anything, Amma. You never did. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The ticking of the wall clock filled the silence. Then he whispered, Do you ever think about what we were? I looked at him. Sometimes. But then I remember who we became. He nodded, eyes glistening. You deserved better. I gave you every chance to be better. He closed his eyes, nodding again. A tear rolled down his cheek. When he left, he didn't look back. His shoulders slumped forward, but his steps were steady, like a man finally carrying the weight of his choices instead of running from them. I stood at the doorway for a while, the evening breeze brushing against my face. The sun was setting, washing the sky in orange and gold. Abena came running in, holding her coloring book. Mama, who was that? I smiled softly. Just someone saying goodbye, baby. She grinned and tugged at my hand. Come, let's draw together. And I did. Because life doesn't stop after betrayal, it blooms in spite of it. Weeks passed. I went through the deeds he'd given me. Every one of them checked out. I didn't need the properties, but I kept them. Not as trophies, but as reminders of how far I'd come and of the strength that silence can carry. One evening, I received a message from an unknown number. Amma, it's me. I made it safely. London is cold but peaceful. I'm working hard. Thank you for teaching me what it means to lose something real. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Instead, I went to my balcony, looked out over the city lights, and pressed record on my camera. Hi, everyone, I began softly. Tonight's story is one that taught me something powerful. Karma doesn't shout, it whispers. Betrayal doesn't always break you. Sometimes it builds you, and sometimes the peace you find afterward is the greatest revenge of all. I smiled at the camera. So, if you're still with me, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who needs to hear that healing isn't loud, it's quiet. It's choosing peace when you could have chosen pain. I ended the recording. Then I leaned back, letting the night wrap around me. The air smelled of rain again, the same scent that once filled the night I handed him that envelope. Funny how life comes full circle. Except this time, I wasn't the woman sitting across the table waiting for him to understand what he'd lost. I was the woman who had already moved on, smiling, strong, and free. And that truly was the ending he never saw coming.